Alright, good morning students. Today we'll be going through HBL practice 1. Okay, so for section A, you have 15 MCQ questions. Now, the first question, 4 pupils made the following statements. Anna says, living things never die. And for Bobby, living things can reproduce. Charles, he said, living things respond to changes. And Danish, living things need air, food, and water. Right, so here for Bobby, I see that he mentioned that living things can reproduce. All right, and Charles said that living things respond to changes. Danish said that living things need air, food, and water. Now, these three are the characteristics of living things, so these are correct. Now, for never die, now this is false. All right, it is incorrect. So the answer they want, the statement that's incorrect, well, it will be number 1. Okay, question 2. Now, a mimosa plant, as shown below, will fold its leaves when touched. All right. Now, I would like to emphasize that this folding of the leaves, they are the responses. Okay. So maybe I just say this is a response from the, okay, maybe I should write 1. This is the response from the plants, and it's when the leaves are being touched. So this touching part is actually the change. So this shows that the mimosa plant is a living thing because it's able to respond to changes. Okay, question number 2. Now, question number 3. Look at the classification below. Now, which of the following has been wrongly grouped? So we look at this living things subtitle. All right, butterfly is a living thing. Tree and bird, they are also living things. Car is not a living thing. All right. Okay, so now for non-living thing here, chair is, balloon is, cloud is, and pencil, they are all non-living things. So one of the thing that is wrongly grouped will be the car. Question 4. Now the bar chart shows the number of cockroaches in a certain area over 5 months. So we have the number of cockroaches, which we can say that is a population, right? And we can actually see that the population has been increasing. All right, so the population is increasing. I draw an arrow to show that it's going up. Okay, so what it means is that initially you have in the beginning, maybe you have 3 cockroaches. Okay, and as the time goes by, you have more. Now you have like 4, 5, 6, 7, and you get more and more cockroaches. Okay, so based on the bar chart above, what can we conclude about the cockroach? Now, when your population is increasing, it can only be happening if the living thing here, which is cockroach, they are reproducing. Okay. Reproducing. So we look at the options here. They are able to grow. Now this is not from the bar chart. All right, the bar chart didn't show the size. Question 2, they are able to reproduce. Well, this is correct. Number 3, they need water and food to survive. Well, it doesn't show from the bar chart. Number 4, they respond to changes around them. Also, it doesn't show from the bar chart. So answer will be 2. Okay, next, number 5. Now this is a flowering plant. Now what will happen to the plant when all the plants labeled A are removed? Now this part A is actually the leaves. And leaves, okay. Now leaves actually helped the plant to make food. So what will happen if you remove the leaves? Okay, option 1, it will not be able to bear fruit. No. Number 2, it will not be able to make food. Yes. Now this is what happens if you remove the leaves, because leaves are responsible for making food. Now number 3, it will no longer grow upright. Not true. Number 4, you will not be able to absorb water and mineral salt. Now it's also not true. Well, for the first one, I think it's related to flowers. Flowers will turn into fruits. So if you remove flowers, then it will not be able to bear fruits. Number 3, it will not be able to grow upright. I think it's related to the stem. Now the stem is actually supporting the plant, all right, and it allows the plant to grow upright. Number 4, it will not be able to absorb water and mineral salt. Now this is I think related to the roots. So option will be number 2. The correct answer will be number 2. Okay, now question number 6. Now below shows the characteristics of 4 things: W, X, Y, and Z. So for W, it can move from place to place, it can reproduce, it can respond to changes. All right, X, Y, and Z, their characteristics are as shown below. Now, which of the following are most likely to be a non-living thing? Now we know that non-living thing, they cannot, all right, they cannot reproduce. So looking at this column here, now the only option is Z, all right, because Z, it shows that they cannot reproduce. So I will have to say Z is a non-living thing. Now looking at the options, number 1, this is not true, there's no Z. Okay, question option 2, possible. Now option 3, possible. Option 4 is out. Now let's look at this X. All right, now X says that it can reproduce. It's also not true, so the only answer will be number 2. All right, so what could this Z be? Well, Z can be a car. Now a car, it can move it can move from place to place, all right, it will not reproduce, and it can respond to changes. Now respond to changes, maybe when you step on the brake the brake pad when you step on the brake, the car will actually stop. All right, they will slow down and stop. So it's actually an example of it responding to changes. Okay, so answer will be option 2. Okay, next question 7. Now Ken placed 2 caterpillars in a jar with some leaves as shown in the picture below. So over here, they say that okay, so there are holes, all right, and inside there are leaves. So you have the 2 caterpillars. Now after 2 days, what would most likely happen, all right, to the number of leaves and also to the caterpillars? Now we understand that caterpillars, they eat the leaves. Right, they eat the leaves. So we should expect the number of leaves to decrease. All right, we should expect the number of leaves to decrease. And as for the caterpillars, now only after 2 days, most likely they will the number of caterpillars will be the same. All right, it can be the same, or it can increase. All right, maybe the caterpillar reproduce. All right, or maybe one of them they died. All right, or maybe both died due to some reasons. But the question here, they say what would most likely going to happen. So I would say most likely it should be the same, because only after 2 days, most likely you still have 2 caterpillars. All right, but definitely the number of leaves will decrease. So looking at the number of leaves here, decrease will be, okay, option 1 is out, option 2 is out because they do not remain the same. Okay, so number of caterpillars, we say that they should remain the same, so answer will be option 3. All right, so this one should be out. Option 4 should be out, so answer will be option 3. Okay, they should remain the same. Okay, question number 8. Now, a young plant was placed in a thick cardboard box as shown below. 4 holes A, B, C, D were made on the sides of the box to allow light to enter. So we have this the hole at point C, alright, and you have this bulb. So this will be where the light will enter, and what will happen, as in which one of the holes will the plant most likely grow towards. Okay, now this is a case of living things responding to changes. So we should expect to see the plant growing towards C. Alright, so answer will be 3. Okay, next question, number 9. Now, based on the diagram, what is a similarity? So between a similarity between leaf A and leaf B. Now, option 1, they say both have the same size. I would think leaf A is actually bigger. Okay, so between A and B, I think leaf A is actually bigger and leaf B is smaller. Alright, so I don't think it's option 1. Option 2, both leaves have the same shape. Well, leaf A, we call it a palm shape leaf, and leaf B is actually the heart shape. So option 2 is out. Option 3, both leaves have the same texture. Now, unfortunately, from diagram, we can't really decide on the texture, all right, for both of the leaves. So we have to omit out this option 3. Okay, so we don't choose option 3. Now so I would say question mark. And option 4, both leaves have the same age. Now looking at the ages here, all right, you can see that it's actually jagged. All right, so same for this, it's actually jagged. So both are jagged edges, so answer will be option 4. Alright. Okay, next question, number 10. Sarah planted 2 young plants in 2 different pots as shown. So we look at the 2 diagrams. The only thing that is different will be the amount of moisture in the garden soil. For pot X is actually wet, pot Y is actually dry. Alright, so the change variable here will be the amount of water or amount of moisture in the garden soil. Everything else, they are the same. So she observed the plants 2 days later. Now plant X grew healthily, but pot X, the plant in pot X grew healthily, but the plant in pot Y wilted. So what does the experiment show? Well, it shows that plants need water to survive. Alright? Because this is the only thing that is different between pot X and Y. Alright? The only thing that's different is the amount of water. Everything else will be the same. Okay, next question. Question 11. Now, which of the following statements about a plant they are correct? So we look at this plant. It looks like it is supporting itself using the trunk of the big tree. Okay, I use the blue pen to highlight it out. All right, so this blue outline, right, shows the trunk of a big tree, and the plant is actually using the big tree as a support. All right, so we can conclude that it's because the plant has a weak stem. Okay, because it's very weak, it needs the support. Now, statement B, this plant is a non-flowering plant. All right, we can't really see. Okay, but this plant doesn't look like a fern, right? Okay, so I'm afraid that this should be wrong. Okay, It doesn't look like it's a fern. It should be a flowering plant. Now, option C, sorry, statement C, this plant uses the trunk of the tree for support. Well, this is true. Statement D, this plant has a thick and woody stem. Now, if it's thick and woody stem means it doesn't need the support. Alright, doesn't need the support of the big tree behind it, the big trunk. So this shouldn't be correct, okay, because we see that it needs a support, okay. So the answer will be A and C. A and C will be option 2. Alright. Okay, question number 12. Study the diagram below. Which one of the following statements about the plant shown above is true? Okay, we see that there are a lot of flowers here. Okay, all these are flowers. So number 1, it has flowers that grow singly. Singly means only one. Alright, but we see that we have so many flowers growing together. So they are actually growing in a cluster. Alright, so this is out. Number 2, it has flowers with entire edges. Now if you look closely, these are jagged. So they are not leaves with entire edge. Option 3 is flowers that grow in cluster. Well, this is correct. Okay. Number 4, it has leaves with parallel vein. Now parallel vein, now let me just draw out. Example, this is a leaf. So parallel vein, you will observe something like this. But looking at the veins here, they are not considered as parallel vein. Alright. In fact, it could be a net vein. So this is out. So the option 3 will be the answer. Flowers that grow in clusters. Okay, question 13. Now Bernard drew the following classification chart. Now which group should he classify the fruit below? Now this fruit, okay, we look at the chart first. There's the round shape, there's an oval shape. Now I think this fruit, we will not be able to consider it as round. It will definitely be the oval shape fruit. Now we also see that there are many seeds here. You can see that so many seeds. So the answer will be D. Alright, so this would be D. Okay, next question. Number 14. Now study the flow chart below. So you have this starting point. Now is it a living thing? Well, if it's yes, then you go down. If it's no, then you go to A. Now if it's a living thing and it makes its own food, then you'll be C. If it doesn't, then you'll be B. Now which one correctly represents A, B and C? Okay, so let's try to think what could be okay, so how would you describe A? Now if it's not a living thing, we will say it's a non-living thing. Okay, now what about C? Is a living thing and it makes its own food. Well, it will be a plant. Okay, so what about B? You know, B can be anything that is not a plant. Okay, it could be an animal. Alright, so which one of the following correctly represents A, B and C? So we look at A. Which one shows a non-living thing? Now mimosa is a living thing, so this is out. Balloon is a non-living thing, so this is correct. Now option 3 is out because peacock is a living thing. Now beanbag also possible. So the answer will be either 2 or 4. Now let's look at C. Now C will be a plant. Alright, so these two are plants. So we will look at B. Alright, now for B, well, is it an does it make its own food? Okay, so worm doesn't make its own food. Alright, what about leather fern? Now fern makes their own food. All right, fern makes their own food. It's considered a plant. So we will have the answer as 2. So this is out. Okay, last MCQ here. Now the table below gives information about 3 plants, P, Q, and R, and a tick shows the plant has a characteristic stated in the table. So for plant P, it has flowers. Now it doesn't grow in water, so most likely it grows on land. All right. So plant Q doesn't have flowers and it doesn't grow in water, so it most probably will grow on land. Plant R has flowers and plant R grows in water. So this the chart below shows how plants are classified. All right. So for the from the information given, where do plants P, Q, and R belong in the classification chart? Okay, we look at this plant P. Now for plant P, it has flowers. So plant P, it has flowers. So if it has flowers, that means it will be bearing fruit. Alright, so plant P, I would expect it to be over here. Alright, so plant P will be over here. Now, does plant P grow in water? Well, it doesn't. So this should be my plant P. So plant B, plant P should be B. So my options will be either 2 or 4. Okay, let's continue to talk about plant Q. Okay, plant Q. Okay, now plant Q doesn't have flowers. So plant Q doesn't have flowers means it will be here. And does it grow in water? No. So it does not grow in water. Therefore, this should be Q. Alright, so Q is actually D. So looking at this, my option 4 should be the answer. But we look at plant R as well. Okay, plant R. Now plant R has flowers. And so having flowers, so it should be here. It grows in water. So my plant R should be A. So plant R should be A. So answer will be 4. Okay, students, we have reached the end of the section A. Now, please do your corrections. I strongly encourage you to write down the annotations that I've made over here. Example like all of this. All right, you can look back at the video. Try to follow all this annotation. These are representation of my thinking process. So as you are doing your own corrections, please write down all of this so that you can understand further how we arrive to the solution. Okay, later I will be okay.